Thank you. Good evening, fellow Riversdalians. Just before I start, Councillor Laurier asked me to put a plug in for the Riversdale Community Cleanup. That'd be a great extension of having come together to listen to ideas. Tonight would be to get together and actually do some work, help make the neighborhood a little more beautiful. That's on May 9th, so next Saturday. Okay, so I'm Ryan, and I live at F and 19th Street, which I like to tell people is pretty effing terrific. And because of my work with medicine and with Upstream, I sort of am at the intersection of some of the communities that are coming together in Riversdale, and that's given me some time to reflect. I've been here for just over 10 years. I remember one of the very first times I walked down the street in 20th Street, and I found myself, like Carrie said, feeling scared. And didn't have a car to lock the windows, but feeling nervous and thinking that was really weird. I'm in this town that I think I know. I've traveled lots of dangerous places, but suddenly I'm nervous. That's weird. And I got curious about that and started coming down more and volunteered at the Core Neighborhood Youth Co-op. Later did rotations at Westside Community Clinic when it was next to the Friendship Inn, and worked with a group of friends to start bringing students from medicine, nursing, pharmacy, nutrition, all the health sciences to work here in the neighborhood at Switch. And I liked it so much that I wanted to be in the community, near my patients, near the clinic. And so I bought a house. And people sort of said, what are you doing moving down there? But the reality is that the only bad experience I've had is I left town for a few weeks and someone painted my house blue. Other than that, it's been amazing, and it's been amazing because of my neighbors, people like Kim, who leaves carrots and cucumbers by the back door in the summertime and has a key to the house to put the mail in. It often feels like it's so urban here that it's rural, like we're this little pocket within the city that ends up being a much smaller town. We also shovel each other's walks pretty much any time of the year. And you know, things are a little more casual, they're a little more relaxed. My patients lean over the hedge and say, hey doc, hey Meili. Just the social rules maybe aren't what they are in other parts of the city. And you know, that gives scenes like this, which Meili would say isn't recommended by the Canadian Pediatric Society. But that's because they don't recommend anything that's awesome. But there's a tougher reality. Cash World is not an environment for children, and there were and are lots of problems in this area. And that was, when I moved in, really represented by what 20th Street was at the time. Lots of boarded up shops, bingo halls, pawn shops, not a place you'd want to walk down the street at night. And it's really emblematic of what has been a marginalized, a segregated part of the city that's been either neglected or downright used and abused. And the result has been poor health outcomes. When you look at Riversdale and the other 4 neighborhoods that make up the core neighborhoods, we have way worse health outcomes, way higher levels of diabetes, depression, heart disease, higher infant mortality and overall mortality. And that didn't happen because a lot of sick people moved into the neighborhood. Now that happens because of the influences of what we call the social determinants of health. How much money people make, how far they got in school, whether they live in a food desert or have access to nutritious food, whether there's adequate, safe housing. All of these add up to far more than doctors or nurses or anything we do in healthcare. This adds up to whether people will be healthy or not. Now, we've heard a lot about this already tonight, but there have been changes in the neighborhood in recent years. Somewhere between the Park Cafe and Parking Day, we started to see people getting excited about Riversdale and wanting to move in or start their businesses. And that's been really exciting, lots of positive stuff. In many ways, you could say that right now, we're sort of in the sweet spot between ghettoized and gentrified. This place where there are opportunities for people of different economic backgrounds, ethnic backgrounds, life histories to talk to each other, have conversations that would never have happened. And that to me is really exciting. But of course, that sweet spot is not a steady state. And it won't stay that way unless we mean for it to. Because along with the good things, the shops and restaurants and this beautiful theater that we all love, come higher prices and higher rents and growing tensions. Tensions among the people who are here to begin with about whether they can afford to stay, and tensions from people moving in as we start to hear complaints. Complaints about things like the Friendship Inn. And not complaining that over 40% of the people in this area actually require the food bank or Friendship Inn to be able to feed themselves. That's something to complain about. No, they're complaining about the crowd out front, as though it might be okay if we have poverty, just so long as we don't see it. But that's not what we want, is it? That's not what we want. We don't want less poor people in the neighborhood. We want the people in the neighborhood to be less poor. We want a good neighborhood, one where even if you're on social assistance, you can still afford the rent and you can afford groceries. But if we're going to get there, well, we need to have conversations like this. And it can't be just the business community making decisions about the future of the neighborhood, or just social services. It has to be all of us, homeowners, renters, couch surfers, everybody being part of that discussion, coming together with our vision of what a healthy community looks like. How do we address those social determinants of health right here in the neighborhood? And if we get that right, then the Riversdale Love doesn't have to end at Avenue H or end at Idlewild, because we're really a microcosm of this whole city and this province. We can set an example by putting the health of the people and the community at the heart of all of our decisions. We can chart a course to make Saskatoon a truly upstream city, a city that really takes care of the conditions to make people healthy. If we get that right, if we do that together, then we'll have proved that we actually do love Riversdale, because we took care of each other. And we'll be able to be proud of our history and our present because of the better future that we've been able to put into place. Thanks very much.